Hello, I'm Randy. Today's video has nothing to do with the ICNC. It has more to do with cutting with or without high preheat. High preheat is basically a function where during the preheating of the plate, you can give the torch just a little bit more oxygen, a little bit more fuel. What this does is it helps kind of preheat the plate, heat the plate up quicker. Most machines you see out there, definitely machines this size, they don't have the high preheat function. They just have the preheat. Preheat is you have a regulator on your oxygen tank and a regulator on your fuel tank. You adjust those to your preheat pressure. You have a solenoid downstream like we have here. Some solenoids that basically just open that gas and allow it to flow the torch. High preheat is you have another set of solenoid valves and another set of regulators. So the regulators on your tanks, you'll set those to a higher pressure, higher than the recommended cut chart pressure, just a little bit higher. And then downstream of those tank regulators, you have another set of regulators where the gas has to go through, and then those regulators are set to your standard recommended pressures. And then you have a bypass that will bypass that secondary regulator that will allow the higher pressure to go around that lower pressure regulator, then out to the torch. So that's high preheat and low preheat functions. Today we're going to do two samples. We're going to basically cut a part without high preheat and cut another part with preheat, and we're going to see the difference between our preheat times. Both parts are identical in size, shape, thickness, and we're going to do identical, just a little 3x3 square cut in both of these. So if you're ready, here we go. Again, our first one, we're going to cut it without high preheat. We're just going to cut it with preheat. So we're all lined up on the corner of this part. I'm going to turn our preheat on. Look on the screen, our countdown right now is 100, start at 120. We're gonna, when we feel it's preheated enough, we're gonna remember that time that we have. So it's preheating. Again, you see our high preheat, it's not on, so we took that out of the loop altogether. So we're 55 seconds out of 120. We've almost been 100 seconds. I think we'll try it now. So we're at 29 out of 120. So let's, say that one roughly took 90 seconds from the time we got to the pierce point to the time we were ready to kick on the cut oxygen. So now let's try this again. This time we're going to turn on our high preheat. Let's go to this next part. Find our start point. Okay, we're at our start point, and if we're ready, let's 0, preheat on, anchor torch. I would say we're good. We're either a little bit longer, but we're at 95. We'll say 90. We'll release it. I'll go ahead and put this in auto mode so I don't have to turn off as soon as it's cut. Alright, so that's high preheat versus not having high preheat. Our first, if we do a recap, our first part, it took 90 seconds from the time we got to our pierce point to the time we were able to kick on our cut oxygen. Our second part only took 30 seconds. So it took us 30 seconds to pierce, basically preheat the part enough to where we could pierce through. Now if you want, if you don't have high preheat function on your machine, what you could do is when you're setting up your regulators, you could set your regulators for a little higher pressure than what's recommended. Downfall is your cut quality is not going to be quite as good, because really when you're cutting you want a good neutral flame. You don't want a non-neutral flame, and that's kind of what you would have with a high preheat. When we are using the high preheat, it's only on during the preheating of the plate, and before cut oxygen kicks on, that high preheat turns off and we're back to a good neutral preheat flame. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to add preheat, I'm sure there's, or high preheat function, I'm sure there's some documents on YouTube where you can kind of figure out how to add another set of regulators and solenoids to your cutting machine. But all right, thank you very much for your time. Bye now.